Lucifer wrestler. Timothy Jinston Burke, October 1, 1960 June 21, 2011, known by his ring name Lucifer, was an American professional wrestler, trainer, and promoter who competed in numerous East Coast and Mid-Atlantic independent promotions during the 1990s and early 2000s. Among the promotions he appeared in included the Atlantic Wrestling Federation, East Coast Wrestling Association, Cueball, Carmichael's Independent Professional Wrestling Alliance, Long Island Wrestling Federation, New Jack City Wrestling, Regional Championship Wrestling, United Independent Wrestling, and the Wrestling Independent Network. As co-founder of the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation with promoter Dennis Wipprecht, Burke was a major figure in Maryland professional wrestling during the 1990s. He not only brought in stars from Extreme Championship Wrestling, World Championship Wrestling, and the World Wrestling Federation to the area, but gave many future independent stars their first big break in the business. His Brainbusters Pro Wrestling Academy, the MEWF's official training facility, produced many of these wrestlers, most notably Ruckus and Tonya Stevens. Burke went in semi-retirement after the MEWF folded in 2004, partially due to his declining health, and spent his final years in Maryland Championship Wrestling until his death from cancer 6 years later. He wrestled his final match at MCW Legends of Maryland show against the Cat Burglar on November 7, 2009, and where he was inducted into the MCW Hall of Fame. The company, which competed against the MEWF in a bitter 5-year rivalry, acknowledged Burke and Wipprecht's role in developing indie wrestling on the East Coast, and had it not been for these two men, there may not be wrestling in Maryland today. Early career and the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation 1991-1992. Early career and the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation 1991-1992. Timothy James Burke was born in Baltimore, Maryland, on October 1, 1960 to Eleanor and William M. Burke. He was trained by Bob Starr, who later helped the promoter Dennis Wipprecht establish the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation, then one of the first independent promotions in Maryland. He made his pro debut as Lucifer on his first show held in Pasadena, Maryland on August 2, 1991. One of his earliest opponents during the MEWF's first year was Rusty the Voodoo Man. The MEWF would eventually become of top independent promotions on the Eastern Seaboard during the 1990s. Burke also wrestled for other promotions while running the MEWF, using variations of his Lucifer ring name Mr. Lucifer and Lucifer, the Knight of the Road, including the Atlantic Wrestling Federation and the Wrestling Independent Network. While working for promoter Steve Runterman, Burke was involved in several WIN charity events, most notably Wrestling Green Team Rib Rest in Peace Sawyer and Diamond Dave Casanova with Morgus the Maniac at the Breakers Festival in Allentown, Baltimore on May 16, and Ivan Call for the Ronald McDonald House at Martin's North Point on November 15, 1992. He and Wipprecht participated in fundraisers for their own promotion as well. 5 days after the Ronald McDonald House benefit show, the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation held a fundraiser for North Carroll High School in the school's gymnasium, with the proceeds going towards the purchasing of computer software. The main event saw the Honky Tonk Man wrestle Max Thrasher and featured appearances from Hawk Stuff Eddie Gilbert at Celsius, Golden Morgus the Maniac, Rusty the Fox Thomas, MEWF Women's Champion Heidi Lee Morgan, Midget wrestlers Heidi Kidd and Butch Cassidy, and the Cream Team. Also on the card, AWF Heavyweight Champion Kirk Dredd defended his title against Axel Rotten. Burke himself wrestled Bob Starr in a stretcher match. Though still a fledgling promotion, which used to once slash 3 the budget of its rivals, it eventually outlasted both the United Independent Wrestling and WIN to become the sole remaining promotion in the region. Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation 1993-1997. Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation 1993-1997. After 2 years in the MEWF, Burke won the MEWF Heavyweight Championship from Max Thrasher on February 5, 1993 in Gaithersburg, Maryland. It was also around this time that Burke formed the Hollywood Hunks with Bob Starr. In August, they won the Echo Tag Team Championship while touring the Mid-Atlantic Indie Circuit, which they would hold until their eventual defeat by Ace Sterling and Kid Flash 2 years later. They also briefly held the MEWF Tag Team Championship, defeating the Goodfellows Romeo Valentino and Dino Casanova, before dropping the belts to Road Warrior Hawk and Ultimate Comet in Catonsville on November 11, 1994. 2 days later, Burke lost the heavyweight title to Morgus the Maniac in Hampstead, ending his first championship reign after 9 months. He regained it the following night in a no disqualification match at Kenwood High School in Essex, and successfully defended it against Doink the Clown among others, before finally losing the title back to Morgus in Baltimore on May 13, 1994. On March 26, 1995, Burke attempted to win the MEWF Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship from the Ultimate Comet. In spite of outside interference from Burke's then manager Stard Lee Osborne and bodyguard the Freak of Nature, he ended up being pinned by the champion. Months later, at the MEWF's annual benefit show for North Carroll High School, Burke officiated a bunkhouse match between the Ultimate Combat, now wrestling as corporal punishment, and Morgus the Maniac for the MEWF Heavyweight Championship. At the end of the year, he began teaming with the Cat Buckler, and the two defeated the Bat Crew for the tag team titles on December 3. Burke made 2 appearances at the Good Sports Arena in Aberdeen, New Jersey for New Jack City Pro Wrestling and the Garden State Wrestling Alliance. On December 18, 1995, he wrestled Steve Richards, Inferno Kid, and the Juggernaut in a 6-man tag team elimination match with the Dream Team, which lasted 34 minutes. He and the Cat Buckler continued defending the belts until February 25, 1996, when Burke was abandoned by his partner in a title defense against Darkside Glenn Osborne and Rockin' Rebel and forced to defend the championship in a handicap match which he lost. He subsequently feuded with Cap Burger as well as Bob Starr on MEWF television. Their feud ended up spilling into other promotions such as Cueball Carmichael's Independent Professional Wrestling Alliance. He continued making appearances in NJCW during the first half of 1997 and later had matches against Joe Thunder and joined forces with Mad Dog O'Malley to face Thunder and Gino Caruso. By the mid-Madness 1990s, the MEWF was at the peak of its success. It regularly featured talent from Philadelphia's Extreme Championship Wrestling, due in part to then-Booker Axel Rotten, including Raven Stevie Richards, the Blue Meanie, Damian Kane, Pitbull Hash2, and the Bad Redian and Axel Rotten, as well as the Honky Tonk Man, Jim Neidhart, Tom Brady, and the Headbangers from the World Wrestling Federation and World Championship Wrestlers Joey Mags and Disco Inferno. Several independent stars such as Boo Bradley, Evan Storm, Steve Corino, Jimmy Cicero, Christian York, Gwen Nash, and Judge Jeff Jones also made their home in the MEWF. Their success encouraged he and Wipprecht opened their own training facility for the MEWF, the Brainbusters Pro Wrestling Academy, which included Bob Starr as an instructor. Rivalry with Maryland Championship Wrestling 1998-2002. Rivalry with Maryland Championship Wrestling 1998-2002. In 1998, Corporal Punishment and Mark Schrader left the MEWF to form a rival company, Maryland Championship Wrestling, over creative control and salary disagreements. Most of the roster jumped to the newly formed promotion, leaving few of the originals remaining. Axel Rotten, MEWF's longtime booker, was among those who had departed the company, which meant MCW was not receiving ECW talent. Burke was forced to use Brainbuster students to make up the loss, while mainstays such as Bob Starr and Morgus the Maniac were tasked with carrying the promotion during 1998-99. Burke brought in World Wrestling Federation legends including the Honky Tonk Man and George the Animal Steel, as well as developed new stars through its training facilities such as Ruckus and Tonya Stevens. Stevens, one of the few female referees in pro wrestling, was initially trained as a wrestler and later agreed to referee for the promotion. On April 29, 2000, after Patch was stripped of the MEWF Heavyweight Championship, a match was held between Burke and Max Rasher for the vacant title in Middle River, Maryland, which Burke won. Claw. Jim Duggan was the special guest referee. During his 3rd championship reign, he defeated Dino Casanova, Ruckus, and Mad Dog O'Malley. O'Malley would become one of Burke's major rivals for the title. Though defeating O'Malley in a cage match several months earlier, he was confronted by the 450-pound Irish brawler at a June 24 MEWF House show in Dundalk, Maryland, while conducting an in-ring interview. O'Malley had taken issue with Burke's announcement to the crowd that he would be defending the championship against the younger and newer competition in the MEWF. After a brief argument between the two, Burke was blindsided by O'Malley and left lying in the ring. Burke ended up getting the better of O'Malley, decisively defeating him in a match at the main event. Burke voluntarily forfeited the title on August 9, 2000, a special memorial show for fellow MEWF wrestler DOA, A Night to Remember, in Martinsburg, West Virginia, so DOA could be posthumously awarded the title for one night only. He was defeated for the title by Buzz Striker in Middle River 3 days later. He and Bob Starr reunited to defeat the Tokyo Terrors Kishiro and Watsumi for the MEWF Tag Team Championship a month later. They remained champions for over a year, defending the titles against teams such as The Freak Show and Tommy Hawk and Jimmy Jannetty before losing the titles to Rain and Buzz Striker in Dundalk, Maryland on October 16, 2001. Burke had one more Tag Team Championship run with his old rival Max Rasher, winning the KPA on June 9, 2002, and successfully defended the belts until November 24, 2002, when he and Bob Starr, substituting for Rasher, lost to Chad Bowman and Dino Casanova. Final years of the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation 2002-2004. Final years of the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation 2002-2004. Through Burke's efforts, the MEWF was able to survive the departure of Corporal Punishment and Mark Schrader. It continued suffering from internal problems with MEWF talent, specifically backstage politics among the younger wrestlers, which resulted in stars like Ruckus and Sanjay Dutt, despite remaining loyal to the promotion and willing to work for less money, being phased out from the company. The promotion also failed to find a long-term replacement for Booker Axel Rotten, using Bob Starr and Mark Osborne among others, instead changing bookers every few months. These reasons, among others, ensured the MEWF would never fully recover. In early 2002, Tim's wife, Donna Burke, took over the day-to-day running of the MEWF, promoting shows twice a month at Dundalk's North Point Flea Market. On March 1, 2002, MEWF original Dave Casanova died following heart attack. A memorial show was held and his honor 3 months later, jointly promoted by both the MEWF and MCW. It was the first time that wrestlers from either promotion appeared in the same ring together since the 1997 split. Lucifer and Thrasher successfully defended the tag titles against Thunder and Cimeria at this show. It was around this time that Derek Wayne, a former student of MCW Bonebreakers Wrestling School, heavily invested in the promotion and became a third co-owner. Wayne was able to make peace between Burke and MCW owner Dan McDevitt and was able to persuade them to begin working together in October 2002. A storyline invasion took place between the two companies for the next 7 months to somewhat mixed reaction from fans, ending with the MCW final show, the 2003 Shane Shamrock Memorial Cup, on July 16, 2003 at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Burke previously appeared on several MCW shows during this time against Cueball January 29, 2003 and with the Holy Rollers Earl the Pearl, and Ramblin' Rich won a 16 blindfolded match with later a special guest referee May 15, 2003. Though the MEWF was now the single remaining promotion in the Baltimore area, it was unable to win over MCW former fanbase, and attendance gradually dwindled as the booking became increasingly comedic. Former MCW talent began to leave the company and, in fact, many one-time MCW wrestlers refused to work for Burke despite Jeff Jones and Dan McDevitt were now involved backstage. McDevitt would quietly leave within a few months while Derek Wayne was forced out of the company. Meanwhile, Burke was wrestling less and less. In June 2003, when Brian X's G-Dog was stuck at the airport, Burke took his place so that his tag team partner Bud Schilt would be able to face then MEWF Tag Team Champions Team Punishment Boss Striker and Derek Wayne. One of his last matches was another tag team match with Dustin Timberlake defeating the Cracker Express in Dundalk, Maryland on March 28, 2004. Its final show was held on October 30, 2004. Later career 2005-2009. Later career 2005-2009. After the course of the MEWF, Burke went into semi-retirement, though he continued to be a fixture at many Maryland wrestling events. He joined Maryland Championship Wrestling following its revival in 2006 and could be seen by fans selling tickets or working gimmick tables at the NCW events. He was also known for friendly interactions with audience members, both in MEWF and MCW, often welcoming arriving fans with a small joke or high five, and enjoyed personal relationships with a number of regulars. To his fellow wrestlers, he was a colorful character with a penchant for ribbing. His frequent use of the phrase "Hey boss" as a greeting, according to Judge Jeff Jones, was imitated by many who knew him. He was very much characterized by his many catchphrases, and a well-known quote in the business, "Wrestling is no place for people with long memories," is attributed to Burke. At MCW Legends of Maryland show, Burke was inducted into the MCW Hall of Fame along with Dwayne Gill and Axel Rotten. It was also at the event that he wrestled his final match against the Cat Burglar, which he won. Burke died on June 21, 2011 after a lung battle with cancer. He was buried in Meadow Ridge Memorial Park in Elkridge, Maryland. At the time of his death, a number of wrestling personalities left messages of condolences at MCW official website, which it then posted publicly. Many of them, such as those from Christian York, Jimmy Cicero, Tonya Stevens and Judge Jeff Jones, thanked Burke for giving them their first opportunities in pro wrestling. At MCW Shane Shamrock Cup 11 on July 30, 2011, a 10-bell salute was observed in honor of Burke's death. At the time of his MCW Hall of Fame induction, the company acknowledged the contributions of Burke and Dennis Wipprecht, stating that had it not been for these two men, there may not be wrestling in Maryland today. Championships and accomplishments. East Coast Wrestling Association. Echo Tag Team Championship one time with Bob Starr, Maryland Championship Wrestling. MCW Hall of Fame Class of 2009 Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation. MEWF Heavyweight Championship 3 times. MEWF Tag Team Championship 4 times with Bob Starr 2, Cat Burglar 1, and Max Thrasher 1 Regional Championship Wrestling. RCW Television Championship 2 times first. RCW Tag Team Championship 1 time with Trooper Gilmore. RCW United States Tag Team Championship 1 time with Adam Flash.